Forget it.
Meeting all set? All right, let's call the meeting to order. Legislative Rules and Governmental Operations. It's May 30th, 2024. Time is 9:30 a.m. Let's do the approval of the prior minutes to the prior committee meeting. Any motion to approve the minutes of the committee? Supervisor Wild, thanks the motion to approve. Seconded by Supervisor Thomas. All those in favor of the minutes as proposed, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? It's unanimous, passes. All right, privilege of the floor and public comment. We're going to be dealing with two topics today, one coming from the county clerk's office and the other coming from Board of Elections. And is there anybody, non-committee persons, who would like to speak to any of those topics at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on. Okay, so first item, we have County Clerk Black and Deputy Morgan here. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you.
And I see that we would like to have an additional pistol permit clerk, and I'll let you take it from here.
Well, it wouldn't be an additional pistol permit clerk. It would be the first pistol permit clerk that we've ever had in the office.
Okay,
That traditionally, the deputy has always been the only person that has been in charge of doing the pistol permits for our county. Since we came into office, it was very obvious that there was an extensive backlog in the pistol permit office with, not the result of the previous administration, but changes in regulations, changes in the processes. In September of 22, there was a big change in legislation. There's changes with our requirements from our licensing officer. There's still, I have to say, backlog from COVID. There was a different process back then in which they could send in character references one at a time. So those came in, maybe one came in 2020, maybe one came in 21, maybe one came in 22. So we have 14 boxes of those applications still backlogged. There's been an ever increasing growth in the pistol permit transactions since 2013 to 2023. It's increased about 15%. And it continues to grow since the change with the semi-automatic rifle endorsement. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm not well versed in pistol permit world yet. There's also, sorry, excuse me. The previous deputy county clerk worked 7 days a week, and currently my current deputy county clerk works 7 days a week and nights and weekends. And, that's just not good for anyone's health. And I think that there definitely needs to be some staffing in place to take care of that. First of all, to ensure that we have timely processing for our constituents, to ensure better service for our people. There are many counties. I did a survey with my county clerk peers. For instance, Shenango County has about, and this population census is from 2020 for every county. Shenango County with 47,000 people have about 5 people in the pistol permit clerk world and 2 in the sheriff's department, and their turnaround time is about 1 to 2 months. Columbia County has 61,000 with 3 people in the county clerk's office and 2 in their sheriff's department, and their turnaround time is 2 to 3 months. Schuyler County has 18,000. They have 4 in their pistol permit office and 3 in their sheriff's department, and their turnaround time is 2 to 3 months. Washington County with 61,000 people has 2 in their county clerk's office and 2 in their sheriff's department, and their turnaround time is 1 to 3 months. Our county at that point was about 65,700, and we have our deputy county clerk in that office and I think it's down to 1 part-time sheriff person in sheriff's department, and we are currently at 6 to 12 months, which has, I have to say, since Linda has been in that office, has been continuously better, but we have a lot of work to do. So getting one pistol permit clerk will go a long way to catching us up and ensuring that we increase better service for our people
And safely.
and safety.
Questions? Supervisor Driscoll?
Thank you, Chairman. And thank you for the report and thank you for putting this before us. Prior to the meeting, I asked County Clerk if she could provide, I know you said a 15% increase, but how that translates into dollars and cent revenue during the past year, or, you know, is there a trend up or?
For dollar wise,
Pardon me?
yes,
Yes.
we're not charging a lot of money, that's in statute. Pistol permits are $10 a piece, so I think in 2022, we were at $32,000, and 2023, we were at $25,000. So a little bit of a decrease in 2023. I think in 2023, there was a lot of fires being put out, and not a lot more pistol permits actually being
And it takes
approved.
about how long for us traditionally to get those processed?
In the past 6 to
Yeah.
12 months.
Yeah, so as you add to that, that time is going to decrease.
Correct.
Correct.
Potentially, you're gonna get more people who are gonna be coming in for those permits because they may not have to wait 6 to 12 months as they did in the past. Maybe, I'm not saying we're gonna get to where Shenango County was.
Right.
With 1 or 2 months, but we're moving in the right direction as far as service to the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah, right now we are booked out for appointments for pistol permit applications to be turned in through July. So,
And that lag time creates more workflow because of the increase in phone calls and the emails and the office visits, you know, looking for updates on their application. So
Other thoughts, questions? Yes, Supervisor Wild?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just two numbers that I'm looking for. What are the total number of active permits we have in the county and how big is the backlog?
we just asked our servicer to provide us with those numbers, which they did, but we do not believe that they're accurate. So we have to revisit that. But something to keep in mind is the population of Warren County isn't quite indicative either of other counties, because our licensing officer allows people that are part-time residents here to have permits. Also, people that are business owners. A lot of people do vacation here in the Adirondacks. They have vacation rentals. So those numbers could be substantially higher anyways with the allowance of part-time residents to own a permit.
Do you have any guess in terms of what that is?
active pistol permit holders.
Really don't. We're trying to get those numbers currently. Unfortunately, the sources of where they come, I mean, we could count them, but the numbers aren't quite in order the way that they should be. So we're working on that.
Okay, and how big is the backlog in terms of number of applications?
I would say several hundred.
Then just one more, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman. If we add this staff person, I'm assuming the backlog will come down significantly. Are there other activities within your office that they can help out with?
Yes, and honestly, with the way the laws have changed, it's not just the backlog. So once that goes away, there'll be justification for that pistol permit clerk, because with the law changes, safety requirements have changed, creating more work, clerical type things, and the requirements of the licensing officer as well. For instance, some counties, there's a requirement of the 18 hours now, where they do the 18 hours and they're done. Our licensing officer requires a meeting with the judge first. So it's, you know, you've cleared investigations. You can now do your safety training. They turn in their safety training. Now you can meet with the judge. They meet with the judge. Now you can turn in your 2 hour. Now you're going to be back in front of the judge for final approval. Now you can come in and get your permit card. those types of things. And then with the semi-automatic change, you could have a rifle before. When they enacted the semi-automatic rifle, now you have to be a permit owner in order to have that on your license. So now more people are getting their permits because they want to purchase a semi-automatic rifle. So those increases are going to continue to come. So you're welcome.
Yeah, Supervisor Conover.
Yeah, just continue that line of thinking. The most of these descriptions, they're written in such a way as it can explain to people that might be interested in the job what their primary responsibilities are, but then normally they're written in a way and say, and such other work as signed by the county clerk or whatever. And I think that so that I'm wondering on the title, is this actually a civil service title, or is it a clerk that's being hired that has primary permit responsibilities? In other words, I see that you're calling it a pistol permit clerk,
Mhm.
but is that a civil service title?
It
Or
will be a civil service.
Yep.
so you're actually creating a position
Correct.
titled civil service clerk,
Yep.
or pistol permit clerk. And is that a better way to proceed than just to have a general clerk responsibility? I know they just had a test for a number of clerk positions. They should be getting the results. So they should have active lists.
Mhm.
If you create a position, you're thinking that this would be a provisional appointment, or is this an appointment of the county clerk? Is this person actually fit your appointment,
I believe it would be a provisional appointment.
it would be a provisional appointment to
Other counties do have this position.
pending, right, pending an examination.
Yep.
I see. So the description, civil service description would exist in other counties, so it's not, that doesn't have to be.
Correct. And it would differ very much from the legal reporting clerks that we have now, in the sense that they would be handling stuff from the DCJS, fingerprinting, arrests. I mean, we're responsible. It's not just applications. We're responsible for if somebody gets arrested, those notices come immediately to us. We have to look at, see if they're a permit holder. We have to suspend. We have to prepare an order for the judge. The judge has to sign off on it. We have to communicate the sheriff's department so that they could go pick up those firearms. So there's a safe level of safety there. We deal with orders of protections, extreme risk protection orders, and these things are, it's time sensitive. And with not having staff to be responsible for that, or short staff to do so, people could potentially be at risk.
Right, right. No, I don't question that part of it. What I'm wondering about is you're gonna, the approach is to make a provisional appointment pending an examination. In between there, you're gonna be doing a lot of training. This person's gonna be learning an awful lot of the process, gonna have to learn a lot of things, and they don't score in the top three. You're gonna be right back to square one again, having to pick off of the top three on the list. And you're obviously aware of that, and but you feel this is the best way to go,
Certainly.
regardless.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure it'll take a while to have an examination. I'm sure that there'll be some time involved in all that, but even if you say a year,
Yeah.
you're gonna be investing an awful lot of time and energy into somebody that's gonna hold a position for a year that may or may not make. Because on our provisional appointment, there's an acknowledgement, or there used to be, I believe there still is, we check with Jackie, an acknowledgement form that says that they understand this is a provisional appointment. It spells out, so there's no misunderstanding relative to the provisional appointment and possible jeopardy
Right.
that exists, the subject to an examination. And I know that's there because that was something that I helped to create quite a few years back. So, but if,
I'm thinking too that it might be promotionally as well, a promotional appointment. It's people that have experience within the office as well, that have had their hands in some of it.
oh, so that it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be, if it were promotional, then, just gotta think this through. If it's promotional, then is that still make it a provisional appointment? I don't believe so. I don't believe it would be a competitive at that point.
That's where
Okay.
I'm not as.
You kind of see what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah,
trying to
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
playing
full
devil's
thing.
advocate.
We've certainly had a lot of conversations with Jackie about it,
Okay, just
what
be-
her wants and needs
Yeah.
were, and
Listen, you guys do a great job. Just be clear,
sure,
Yep.
you know, the
100%.
process here and
Yeah.
make sure that,
kind of interesting Jackie on that. one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to clarify, it is provisional, even if it's a promotional position until they test. We've done that. And,
Yep.
you know,
I figured.
we're used to doing this. We do a lot of provisional appointments for people when we hire into positions until they can take the testing.
so they would have to pass the test.
Correct.
Is basically it. They wouldn't be competing. It would be, they'd have to meet the minimum, which is whatever it is, 65-70%.
Supervisor Thomas.
Yeah, I'll move this forward because this is just a result of the state of New York and the state that we live in and the infringement on our Second Amendment constitutional rights. So this is the result when you write all kinds of laws to restrict somebody's rights.
Okay,
I'll move.
motion made by Supervisor Thomas. Any second? Second by Supervisor Mayday. All those in favor of the creation and funding of a new position in the county clerk's office titled fiscal permit clerk, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, that's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner McLaughlin, Van Ness.
How's everybody today?
We just had,
So,
and then I said to Beth when we walked up, I said, I'll sit on the other side if you don't mind my back against the window, not the door. An old law enforcement
Yeah.
thing, you don't put your back to the door. Good morning.
before the flex, we have two discussion action items. So one is a contract termination. And the other is a 3-year contract with ES&S voter registration. So I'll take it from here.
Well, we were,
We're not here by choice.
yeah, we're not. So, April 14th, or so, we got a phone call that Hart Intercivic was stopping their next vote registration system at the end of the year. They would continue support with us through the end of the year. But this was a shock to us because we're in a presidential year. Where are we gonna go? Do we want to wait to the end of the year? Many conversations with the state BOE and the 7 other counties that were with Next Vote. Most of us made movement to get out before September 1st.
We had no idea. I mean, this is only a contract we've been into for a little over a year and a half. We had no idea this was coming. We feel that they may have gotten in over their head a little bit, and once they saw what we needed, it wasn't this, and to jump ahead a little bit, the new company that we're looking at has been in the business for several years. But we've been in touch with the county attorney as far as terminating the contract. And as you see, as we go along, there is going to be some reimbursement from Next Vote for our payments and our migration and stuff like that. But it's required by law that we have a voter registration certified system. And the one we're looking at with ES&S is a certified through New York State. And we've looked at 3 different ones.
We looked at NTS again.
Mhm.
And then we looked at N-Tier as well. N-Tier is with New York City. Then we really kind of settled on ES&S, very similar to the system that we're using now. The 2 new people that we hired have been using that system, and they were actually involved with all our demos with the other companies. And they felt movement to ES&S would be comfortable for them because it was a similar platform. And it is on OGS, so it'd be easier for us to transition to that contract.
So if we're looking at number 1 on the request to terminate with the termination discussion with our Inter Civic, which is our current system that's ceasing operations December of this year. As I said, we've been talking with the county attorney. It looks like at this point in time, if we get out before September 1st, we'll have a reimbursement from them of a little over $38,000 that will be returned to the county that we can invest in the new ES&S company. So that's number one for the termination, Mr. Chairman.
Questions for the commissioners from committee members? Yes, Mr. Thomas.
How much does next vote cost?
It's in your paperwork, so 23,000 was the
I don't think
initial.
we sent that part.
Oh, you
to-
didn't?
No, I don't think we sent
Okay.
that part to them, but Beth can give you the figure.
Resolution 294 of 2022. So 23,624 was the migration. And then year one was 43,000. And then this year we paid 45,000. Which is something we've always had. We paid that much with when we were with NTS. The yearly fee was in the 50s. When we switched over, this was a better financial decision.
And
That's-
ES&S will be even less, about $10,000 less. The only thing I will say that $23,000 migration fee that we paid came out of a grant. Didn't come out of the county. We paid that out of our tier 2 grant. We talked with the state on that because it was paid out of a state grant. There's no issues with it. They understand that it put, as Beth said, 7 counties into an issue because a lot of them did use their grant money. All we have to do is, once we do get the decision from the county board to go ahead with the ES&S, is supply them with the paperwork, and that grant will still be covered and we'll be in fine shape. There'll be no problem with it.
Supervisor Thomas.
What exactly does a voter registration company do? I mean, people send in registration cards. Do we,
So everything has to be connected to the state, so they all certified through New York State Board of Elections. They have to read to what's called Nice Voter. So we track everybody throughout the state. So when voters move within the state, they get registered in Warren County from Washington County. Washington County is notified that they're no longer registered with them, that they're in Warren County and such. They do voter history. They make sure polling sites are assigned. If somebody can move into the county, not sure where they're registered to vote, they can look themselves up, and that's all connected. So these systems register our voters. They do our petition packets. They do our voter history. They do our absentees, from registration to sending the ballots, receiving the ballots in. Now ballots are received in, we have to open them, actually receive them in within 3 days. We open them within the 4 days. So all that stuff is tracked in the voter registration. It's not really just registering voters. It's the whole packet of elections as a whole. January, we set up our election calendar, and it kind of follows everything that needs to be done, again, from candidates filing petitions to voters casting their ballots.
do they check voters that maybe shouldn't be on the rolls?
Yes. And
Yep.
what it does, I was just gonna say that, what it
Yep.
does is it prevents double registration throughout the state. So if somebody is registered in Saratoga County and all of a sudden they move to Warren County and register here in Warren County, through the process of this voter registration system, we get a notification from Saratoga County that they have purged that voter. We can now activate them, or vice versa. They moved out of Warren. So it prevents the double registration that we've all heard so much of on foils and all this other. This is one of the systems that prevents the ability for somebody to double register throughout the state or any
It's
state.
also, deceased voters, felony
What
voters.
about like inactive voters that stop voting for?
So inactive voters, you become inactive when mail's returned. And then if you do not vote in 2 federal elections, it's called an NVRA purge. And that's when those inactive voters with no voter history for 2 federal elections will automatically be purged.
And we go into this system and we tell them that,
Do that.
yes, we go into this system and tell them that these people haven't voted, or they tell us they haven't voted. And they tell us we must purge them, and the voter registration system at that point in time will direct us to purge that voter until they call us and find out what they have to do to get re-registered. But if they don't, they stay purged until, in this system, part of this system is, that's what that is. That tells us stuff.
Supervisor Conover?
Yeah, so the I'm understanding is the plan is not to wait till December. The plan is terminate the arrangement now, get into a new service agreement in advance of a very, all elections are important, but in
Yes.
advance of the November election. And so that there's no hiccup in service here.
We'll
And
have actually a stop of work for 4 to 6 weeks for them to
Right.
migrate all our information over.
And this was a suggestion of the state. The state didn't want us to wait till the end of the year either because of service. I mean, this company's going out of business, so
Right.
let's face it, if they're going out of business, you know, are they really concerned about what's happening in Warren County Board of Elections until the end of the year? We don't think anything would happen like that, but as we all know, in this line of work, you can't sit on your hands and wait for that to happen and then get burnt in the end. And that's,
but on the point of a rebate of the fee structure, is that something the company has agreed to, or is this something that still has to be negotiated?
Still, we have a contract, it's with the attorneys. It's being
Okay, so,
time
our
frame.
county attorney has been in negotiations with them and told them what we were looking at. So it's there, it just hasn't been finalized yet.
Sure,
But
I
these
get
are the numbers are
Right.
pretty just, about 38,000.
no, I know what we feel.
Yeah.
We should be rebated, what.
Yeah.
They feel, especially a company going out of businesses. Might be another matter, but either way, I mean, I think that it's a solid recommendation. I think it's something we have to do.
Supervisor Wild?
Mr. Chairman, I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm looking at the quote. There's an item here about software modifications for $36,100. If this is a system used by other counties in the state, why are we modifying the software?
That we're modifying the software, and that modification part is also the migration part, where they have to take all of our records and migrate them into the new ES&S software program. So that's part of the migration as well.
That's the one-time fee.
And that will be, actually, looking at that will be our annual fee.
The annual fee is the 38,192.
So
Supervisor Grant?
Would you do both together?
I guess we could. Are there any questions about the costs and ES&S and so forth? Supervisor Conover?
Yeah, I just want to make sure, because I know this has been an issue in other matters, that the new contract clearly states that the records are, we own the records,
correct,
and that they're the property of Warren County,
correct.
and that should there be any type of termination of the service, that the records are to be provided to us. Now, are we actually going to maintain a copy of those records periodically? So we're
Already-
actually.
already in-
Daily.
Already in the
Be backed up
process.
in under our control.
Yeah, our IT is already doing a backup on all the
Just-
records. Yep. And if you were gonna move both together, I would just explain that, continue on to explain when you see the final figure and the final fee. We're not coming here asking for any more money. We have the money in our budget due to the lack of we had planned for a primary in June of this year. We've got one small primary in Stony Creek. That's the only primary that we have. We don't have a statewide. Would luckily, so financially planning for that in our budget last year, we had planned for a primary in June, which we're not gonna have. So that money is already in our budget, so we can use that money and move it toward the new system, so we won't need any additional money from the county. And then when we're reimbursed the 38,000, we've already talked to the treasurer's office, and they have set up a receivable account. So this money comes back, it'll go right into the Board of Elections account, which will be used to pay the remainder of what we owe here. So if you're gonna move them both together, I just wanted to make sure we understood the financial end of it. We're not asking for any more money. We're gonna be able to cover it with the way our budget is now and with the reimbursement, and that should take care of it.
All right, so we have a motion by Supervisor Bracci to terminate our contract with Hart Intercivic and to enter into a 3-year contract with ES&S voter registration. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Is there a second? Seconded by Supervisor Driscoll. All those in favor of the motion as just described, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Another question, Supervisor Conover?
Yeah, just as a follow-on, I don't know what the timeline is on the 38,075,44, and you're gonna have this new contract, so. I mean, I assume we're gonna have to front end everything, and then if we get reimbursed, it becomes as a reimbursement credit. I don't know that we should plan on. I don't know that the finances should plan on that. Fitting the same
If you look at
timeline.
if you look at the ES&S contract, we thought about that as well, Supervisor Conover. If you look at the contract, you'll see down toward the bottom where it says payment terms, there's a lump sum figure of $48,029 due upon the signing of the contract. And then the other $48,028 isn't due until at least 30 days after September 1st, when the system is up
Right.
functioning the way it should be. Our hope would be that once we sign the contract, and maybe the county attorney, I know Larry, we've been dealing with the attorney Dickey on this, but I would hope that money would be back and we'd be able to pay that and everything right then and there. So,
I guess just for the record, I would hope that as well, but
okay.
if you need to have that money, no one should be surprised if the timelines don't fully sync up here. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Nobody should.
Appreciate it.
Any other discussion items? Privilege of the floor, any non-committee or public wish to speak to the Legislative Rules and Governmental Operations Committee? All right, seeing none. It's adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a dull moment. You guys do a great job.
Thank you.
You guys